Welcome to another edition of Carnivore News. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And Dr. Lopkin, you kind of are going to take the lead because you've done the due diligence, and let's review what's in the news this week.
Yeah, we've got 5 stories that are important for people to know for this week ahead. Top of the list, unfortunately, is the impeachment. Hearings are scheduled to start on Tuesday. Ken Starr and Alan Dershowitz are headlining Trump's defense team. And right now, the big issue with this is there's an uproar over some comments made by one of the Democratic House members stating that Trump has to prove his innocence. Republican members are up in arms saying no American ever has to prove their innocence. It's up to the courts and the prosecution to prove their guilt. So we'll see what happens there.
Interesting. I just want one little comment on Dershowitz. That's a very interesting addition. The longtime Democrat. We'll see how that plays out, correct?
Yes, we'll see what happens.
Very good.
All right. This week also kicks off Davos, the 50th World Economic Forum. While Trump is starting the impeachment hearings, he will actually be over in Davos. The conference is scheduled to focus on climate change. However, Trump is in attendance. He did not go last year. The heads of other states, France and Britain most notably, are not coming. So
interesting.
We'll see what happens with this. Also on global trade, trade tensions around the world are easing, primarily because Brexit is now solidifying and they know what's going to happen going forward on that, as well as the U.S.-China trade deal and USMCA both being approved. So now the global economy is sort of taking a breath and letting those tensions go.
Interesting. Just a little comment on my side of it is that, yes, it seems like economic, and I'd like to use just a little bit of input, no big deal. Usually when we do the news, we don't really comment, but I think tensions, anxiety over recession are easing, correct?
Yes, anxieties over recessions are easing. Now people are talking about a recession possibly in late 2021 at the earliest, and more likely 2022. That's interesting in regard to both these trade tensions easing and actions by central banks all over the world.
Great.
Wall Street has earnings season. Wall Street is closed today for Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, but earnings are being reported all week, and leading the pack are Netflix, United Airlines, TD Bank, and Johnson & Johnson, all of which are highly anticipated.
Excellent.
And then finally, we've got the Super Bowl coming up, and now we know it's the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers heading to the big game.
I would have to say, again, this is just kind of a arbitrary little comment. I'd have to say San Francisco is the odds on. They just dominated. They are an amazing team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the odds actually right now are going back and forth between the two teams, but I happen to agree. I think the 49ers will take it.
Excellent. All right, well, that concludes our second edition of Carnivore News. Thank you so much, Dr. Lopkin. You kind of took the lead. A lot of things, the news kind of agenda. And as we move into next week, I'm sure impeachment's really going to be at the forefront.
Most likely.
Thank you very much. And we'll be back next week with another edition of Carnivore News. And also later in the week, we'll do Carnivore Bites.
All right, Carnivore Bites, where we give analysis of issues, not just the headlines. And also coming up in February, we'll be returning with Carnivore Radio online with guests and call-in opportunities for our listeners.
Great. Thanks so much. Take care.
You've been listening to Carnivore Bites, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can catch us every week on carnivoreradio.com, exvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast Store, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.